Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. We're continuing the conversation this morning, speaking about Tobago Carnival, or rather starting the conversation. Joining us is Alan Stewart, Director of the Tobago Emergency Management Agency, also known as TEMA. Good morning, Mr. Stewart, and welcome.
Good morning to you, and good morning all of Trinidad and Tobago and wherever you're viewing from around the world.
A beautiful way to start the conversation this morning. Thank you for those lovely greetings. I hope you are doing well, and thank you for getting up so early for such a conversation. Let's get straight into it. What are TEMA's roles and responsibilities when it comes to Tobago Carnival?
Yes, indeed. Over the years, dating back to 2005, we would have embarked on a hefty mission where we, in accordance to the mandate of the Tobago Emergency Management Agency, our mission is very clear: to coordinate a network of agencies and individuals, direct their efforts towards the maximum preservation of life and the protection of property during times of emergency. And as a result of that, dating back to 2005, we have seen an installation in these festivities, which can be deemed as a joint command post operation. Let me say that again. A joint command post operation allows for all of the major players to be involved, not just for the response part of things, but also in the planning. This edition of the festival seems to be one that will be probably the best ever, and we are very happy and pleased to be a part of it. We have been doing the necessaries, coordinating with and collaborating with a number of players. If I were to categorize the festival itself, where TEMA is concerned, we focused on two major areas. One is security and safety. These can be broken down where you have members of the Ministry of National Security, all arms of that has a role to play in the festivity to keep it safe, be a part of that. What we do, we set up what you call this joint command post. The other element of it has to do with health, the health and the medical aspect of the Carnival itself, where an advanced medical post is always a fixture in the Carnival festivity. These elements allow for the effective coordination among the many stakeholders that are involved in the Carnival festivity. What we utilize a number of tools during the festivity that will allow ICT tools and also the necessary manpower to make it all happen. We feel that this festivity, our ongoing objective is to make this Carnival, or the Tobago Carnival, the safest Carnival in the world. And we have seen that blossoming continuously. So this is what we expect going forward.
Good to hear that, Mr. Stewart. Now, you would have mentioned the Ministry of National Security, and you also mentioned health. But what other major players are you collaborating with to ensure that you can fulfill that being the safest carnival in the world?
When you drill down into it, you recognize the importance of having, for example, your route as safe as possible. Overhead lines, collaborating with the those persons who are responsible for overhead lines in terms of the utilities areas. So you have TNTech coming on board. You also have TSTT, GDSL, and a number of different players. As it relates to the parade route itself, one recognizes that it is important to ensure that even the surface, underground, drains and culverts and walkways are free from any obstacles that may become a hazard during the festivity. So in the planning phase, we discuss things like that with the DIQUD, which in the Trinidad context will be like works, and therefore they come on board, have these discussions. From early as last year festival, we walk the terrain, look for these hazards, make sure that the drains and the walkways are free from any issues we come up with when we speak with the licensing division. They ensure that the trucks that are participating in the Carnival, they weigh in at a particular weight level. We understand what they need to do, the necessary barriers across their wheels, their height, in terms of overhead lines. So these are some of the things that we deal with in terms of, those are some of the agencies that are involved. When we go to the health factor, we have over the years seen the TRHA playing a major role in this. There is that the medical side of the carnival where you look, the doctors and nurses take care of the advanced medical posts, along with other will be collaborators such as the CERT 1000 volunteers, EMT from CERT. These are some of the players that you have involved. Then there's another aspect of it, food safety. Food safety becomes very critically important, so we ensure that during this period, a part of this discussion or this platform is to allow even revelers and people who will be participating in the festivity to understand what are the tell signs to look for. For example, the person who is serving either the corn soup, do they have a food badge? We also use this opportunity now in preparation to bring them around the table and say, listen, if you want to make a change during this carnival selling food, make sure that you have a food badge. Make sure that you understand what is the elements of food safety. Anything that to preserve the legacy of Tobago's safe carnival, these are the discussions that we are having. On the other hand, you have persons, I always say you have the lost and found, but normally I will say, the parents get lost. We always find the children, but the parents are lost. Sometimes, so we set up that in the command area that the police and also other interest groups, such from the social services, they play a role in making sure that these children can connect with their parents. We advise, listen, if you have small children involved, make sure that you place probably a telephone number or something in their back pocket that if you get separated from them, we are able to contact you, things like that. Another important aspect is the area of how do you coordinate during these activities. For example, infrastructure. Infrastructure has become a very critical role in these festivities where you have large banners, tents and things like that. So the fire services, along with certain engineers out of the IQU, ensure that these infrastructure is up to standard in terms of the type of stage that they may be utilizing, that the stage is a safe one. And also you have the issue of, again, going back to vending, persons that may want to prepare food on site, that they make sure that you have things like fire extinguishers and things like that. And then there's the ICT products, such as the utilization of those tools for surveillance to ensure that you monitor what is happening. Then you have the quick rapid response force that comes into the question to ensure that if there is a sign or evidence that there may be a disturbance in the crowd, these things are shut down as quickly as possible to avoid any injuries and things like that. And we recognize that coordinating with the number of players throughout the year, we have become well rehearsed in this, and it allows for a smooth type of coordination among the first responders and other interests that have a key role to play in the Carnival festivities.
No, Mr. Stewart, definitely sounds like, of course, it's a hefty agenda and quite a lot to be managed. In light of that, how many people are going to be on the ground to ensure that all of this runs as smoothly as possible? And how many people do you estimate you're going to, well, how many people do you estimate are going to be in Tobago for this event?
While I am not able to trigger a guess, but the information that is coming to our hand, that this will be the biggest event over the 3 years that we have seen the October festivity come back on the calendar. This thing is growing. We're hearing from the hotel, and up till this week, Monday, we had a meeting and we had Chris James, and the indications are all healthy. That there's bookings taking place, so we want to encourage, our Trinidadians counterparts who is coming up for the festival to ensure that you make your bookings in time, because it looks as though Trinidad Tobago is going to tilt a little bit in terms of the amount of persons that will be on the island. It's a wonderful place, it's a wonderful route, and therefore when you look at the Esplanade and what is going to happen along the Milford Road, the scenery is very beautiful with the backdrop, with the Atlantic Ocean giving you that breeze, making sure your costume blow in a particular way. It's just a wonderful sight to see. There's also the element where some people use that period for camping. That being said, so we pay attention to those things as well. We ask those persons who are going camping to ensure that you register. Register meaning, therefore, you inform the police that you're going to be on the ground doing your camping. Some people use that period to get away and distract themselves with something more on the holy side. So we ask for that to happen as well. But the numbers, I wouldn't trigger a guess at this stage, but the numbers are really growing, and I trust what I'm hearing is that this will be the biggest event for over the past 3 years the event came back into play.
Well, one can only imagine how many people are going to be on the island, as you mentioned, of course, unfortunately or fortunately, will look at a great impact, rather, let's say, on Tobago itself. Mr. Stewart, you would have mentioned, of course, some guidelines for those who are going to be camping, but what about the wider public who are going to be coming to enjoy the revelry? What guidelines is TEMA putting in place and you would like to share with us this morning?
Yeah, that is a very important element, and my excuse me for maybe not making use of the time to speak about it. It's important that we observe safety. We have a responsibility as revelers or participants. You're leaving your homes. You make sure that you leave your homes in a secured way. You make sure that you leave your cars. You don't leave your cars with items on the seat that will attract a type of elements in our society that will bounce upon these opportunities. And what we have to do is to see where we can mitigate against those activities as much as possible by you, the will-be reveler, or you, the person who are involved. One of the things that we have seen being brought to the table, many years we have been clamoring for it, is that of taking away glass bottles out of the festivity. I think this year it will be as much as possible reduced, so we have those cooperation, not just with the band leaders, but also with the bars during the period, and even the sector that allow for the retail of these beverages. We will see a strong reduction of glass bottle involved in the carnival. It's all about safety. It's all about making sure that you are safe. Jewelry, how you manage your jewelry, how you manage your colleagues to say, do all things in moderation. So you want to make sure that you stay a bit sober. You make sure that you're conscious of what is happening around you to ensure that you have a safe carnival. Footwear, things that may cause you injury, you ensure that the parade, you will try it as much as possible, but somebody may bring their own glass bottle, it fall on the ground, break. And these are some of the injuries that we see commonly take place during the festivities. People are trying to get on top of trucks, the overhead lines hooking you and things like that, based on the heights. Observe, we know that TNTech have played a key role in making sure that some of the routes are well signed, the overhead lines are pulled up to the maximum and tagged with the necessaries to ensure that the cautions are there. So we are doing our part, and we are asking the general public to be safe, to make sure that the criminal elements, we just want to put them on notice that this carnival is not a period to try to get involved and do the miscreants doing things that are unlawful. It will not be tolerated. The law enforcement they have stepped up their game in terms of ensuring that you have the necessary manpower on the ground, not just for the festival per se itself, even though we are speaking carnival, but as a result of the carnival festivity, this period we have observed that it lends itself to miscreants taking the opportunity to do robberies and things like that, looking for the fast buck. So the security teams are out there and are doing the necessary to ensure that the the spin-off of the Carnival festivity itself will look at the environmental impact of it as it relates to safety and security. We are taking care of those things. So we are talking about these bans. We are talking about effects. We are talking about band leaders and those persons who are promoters who are promoting FET. Ensure that where you have mass crowds, that you have an emergency plan in place that will allow your FET to be a safe one. You don't want it to be marred, especially those regulars who normally keep these FETs and build up. I understand there's over scores of events that are planned around the Carnival festivity in Tobago. So we want to take that into consideration as well.
Mr. Stewart, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Now Morning Show, hoping that everything goes well for Tobago Carnival 2024 and, of course, for the future. Have a great day. Thank you very much. Alan Stewart joining us this morning, Director of TEMA, speaking about Tobago Carnival. Stay tuned. After this break, we're continuing the conversation with environmental safety.